Virginia is the mecca for travel and outdoor adventures. Today we have the chance to talk with Jessica Bowser. She is the host of Virginia Outdoor Adventure Podcast. Welcome, Jessica, to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, it's so amazing to have you today. Thank you. And what made you to fall in love with the outdoors activities?
Well, fortunately for me, it happened when I was a child. I spent a lot of my childhood outside, and so I felt a connection to the outdoors almost immediately. But that doesn't mean that you have to have a connection since you were a child. A lot of my friends right now, especially during COVID, are getting outside in ways that they never have before. And so I get lots of messages and phone calls from listeners and from friends asking me for advice on how to get outdoors, but people are definitely connecting outside much more than they have before.
Yes, I think you just say it right, because now after COVID, we all want to have adventures outside, right? And do different activities outside. But tell us about your journey from being a teacher to an outdoor lover, how that comes.
Well, it's an interesting story because actually my career aptitude test in middle school suggested I should have been a park ranger. And I think I may have missed the boat, but I decided to be a teacher instead. And actually that has worked out really well because I taught fourth grade, and fourth grade curriculum in Virginia is Virginia Studies. And so there's a lot of information about geography and geology in the different regions of Virginia. And so I really loved being able to teach the curriculum to 9 and 10-year-olds, and then also to go out and be able to discover it on my own. And so much of Virginia history is connected to the geography in Virginia, which is really fascinating to me. So for example, during westward expansion, people were moving west through Natural Tunnel. And Natural Tunnel is literally a tunnel that was created naturally that passes through the mountains. And it was a way for people to be able to expand westward without having to go up and over the mountains, which would have been an obstacle. And so when I visited Natural Tunnel State Park down in Southwest Virginia, and I actually laid eyes on that tunnel for the first time, my jaw dropped. It is such an incredible sight. It's absolutely enormous. It's definitely an interesting thing to see, but to know the history of it as well and how it impacted the history of Virginia and the history of the United States makes it even cooler.
Well, that's amazing. And I love your pictures. It looks like you being in amazing places. So you're a conservation advocate. What does that mean?
Well, being a conservation advocate can mean lots of different things, but for me, and especially in the context of the podcast, it means that I have a platform where I can allow people to share their stories about how they connect to the outdoors. And everybody connects to the outdoors in a different way, and everybody finds different meaning in that connection to the outdoors. But the more that people go outside, the more that they will understand how important the outdoors is, both to our physical and our mental health. And as people make those connections, they will then want to make sure that those outdoor spaces are preserved for everyone to have access to for generations.
Yes, I love the part that connecting and mental health, I think, is the great thing right now. But why are some of your adventures is in Virginia? Like, do you have a place that you can see, this is my favorite one?
It's really hard to say this one's my favorite, but I do really love New River Trail State Park, which is actually, it's in Southwest Virginia, and it is a trail. So it runs from Galax to Pulaski. It's about close to 58 miles. And the center of it is what's called Foster Falls, where there are kayak rentals and equestrian trails. But also what's really neat about this park is that it runs along the New River, which is one of the only rivers that runs south to north, which is kind of cool. But you can start at Foster Falls and ride in either direction, or there's actually a shuttle that the park provides where they will shuttle you to one end of the trail or the other, and then you can ride back to Foster Falls so that you can split the long ride up into 2 days if you wanted to, which is a great resource for folks.
This is amazing. Really quick, because we have to already leave. Tell us about your podcast.
So Virginia Outdoor Adventures is a podcast that talks about things do and places to go right here in your own backyard, which is really great, especially now when people are looking for safe ways to be outside with family members that are close to home. It's also a little bit cheaper to stay close to home than to have to get on an airplane or to go someplace much farther. Virginia is amazing because we have everything from the oceans and the bay to the mountains and everything in between. So there's something for everyone, and there is a place that everybody can go to connect. And so the podcast tells stories from the experiences of guests who have connections to the outdoors, who make recommendations for places to go and things to do.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Jessica, for being with us today. Thank you. Thank you. You're amazing.
Thank you so much.